What's up, guys? Travis Peters. We are going to be talking today about the 5 laws of gold. We are continuing our book study of The Richest Man in Babylon. This is a super powerful teaching, especially for the body of Christ, because I'm trying to show you how to get free financially so that you can focus on all the big things that God has planned for you. Man, I made this channel because I just got tired of seeing so many Christians get their butts kicked financially. And the real tragedy is they're actually just living distracted instead of focusing on what God has for them. So if I can help you, if I can help free up your mind, if I can help free up your finances and free up your time so that you can focus on the things that God put in your heart, the things that actually fulfill you. These are the things you're actually pursuing. You're actually pursuing God's plan and purpose, but you might not realize it. You might try to find those answers through things like money and business and jobs and career and stuff. But really, God's just trying to get you onto His path. That's where the greatest life imaginable is. I want to help you do that. Sound fair enough? Keep hanging out with me. Again, we're continuing our book study called On the Richest Man in Babylon, a powerful book. If you're excited about this, hit that like button for me. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell because I got trainings and teachings like this coming out pretty much non-stop because I like to make videos, so I'm going to make a ton of videos, and they're going to keep helping you, keep hanging out with me. I got links in the description below if you'd like to learn more about what I do and how I can help you. All right, so let's get into this. We're going to talk quickly about the 5 laws of gold. So the premise of this chapter is back in the day. So the main, he's not the main character, but I guess we are learning through the richest man in Babylon, whose name is Arcad. Well, traditionally, the way this works, Arcad is getting up in age, and your son would live with you until you're ready to pass over the estate and the fortune over to him. That's how the wealthy did it. Well, Arcad didn't like that. So he sent his son off on a mission to basically prove himself. He sent him out and said, come back in 10 years. He gave him a bag of gold, but more importantly, he gave him a clay tablet with the 5 laws of gold written on it. These are basically the laws that Arcad learned over the years, and if you follow these laws, these principles, you too will become wealthy. So he armed his son with a bag of gold and these principles on how to become wealthy, and said, come back in 10 years, and if you have been successful, then you can be an heir and get your rightful claim to all this fortune that I have, the richest man in Babylon, okay? So it's a great challenge. And the kid goes off, and he goes to Nineveh to try to build something of himself, and he ends up trying a bunch of things. Some he got scammed out of his money, some he just made a poor choice, but he's learning, and he's going, and he's growing. And he ends up losing the money. He tries to invest it, but loses the money that his dad gave him. So at some point, he goes back to the 5 laws. He's like, okay, I've messed up, but I got to prove myself. We got this. He goes back to the 5 laws of gold, starts to implement them, and things begin to turn around for him. Within the 10 years, he'd more than tripled his dad's money, but more importantly, he learned that the 5 laws of gold, the lessons were more important than the actual gold. It's a great story. Comes back. It's awesome. He's telling the tales and the adventures he went through in his 10 years over in Nineveh trying to make something of himself. But I want to read you the 5 laws of gold. First law, gold cometh gladly and increasing in quantity to any man who will put not less than 1/10 of his earnings to create an estate and future for his family. Basically, the law says that gold will come to a man if you basically focus on setting aside a portion to create wealth with. Now, seems simple, right? But how many of us are actually doing that? I've heard that for 20 years, and I didn't start doing it until just a few years ago, really. I mean, it's crazy. We teach inside of, we've got programs called Kingdom Money Mastery and a couple others, but inside those programs, we teach we call it the magic money formula. And I joke about magic, magic money formula. Essentially, if you structure your finances to where the first 10% of your money that comes in, you tithe it back to God. The second 10% you put into a storage account, And we've got a training on the difference between a storage account and a savings account, why that matters. And then the third 10% of your money, you invest. And then you live and give off the remaining 70%. You structure your finances that way, you can't lose. It kind of bulletproofs your financial life. So with investing, and this is so powerful, if you do this, I'll put it this way, if you don't do this, you don't really have a chance of becoming wealthy or building passive income through investments. We teach that the wealthy invest and live off the dividends. The poor and middle class just live off their paychecks. Big difference. But what he's saying here is, if you don't set aside a portion of your income in order to invest, you don't have a chance. Second law of gold. Gold laboreth diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying even as the flocks of the field. Gold indeed is a willing worker. It is ever eager to multiply when opportunity presents itself. To every man who has a store of gold set aside, opportunity comes for its most profitable use. As the years pass, it multiplies itself in surprising fashion. Okay, so basically you have to have money set aside. That's the first law. Start storing up money to invest. And then you got to put it to work. That's the second law of gold. Put your money to work. A lot of people, like we did a whole series on the distinctions between the middle class and millionaire mindset. And one of the things that the poor and middle class do is we store up money. I'm not going to say we. They store up money, but don't do anything with it. They just save it for a rainy day. They hoard it up, look at it in their bank account to try to feel good. And there's nothing horrible, like that's not the worst thing in the world or anything. I think that's fine to do, but you also need a portion set aside to invest. And then you need to go actually put it to work. You need to do something with it. It might fail the first try or two or three, but you need to at least get it out there and start learning the game. The third law. Gold clingeth to the protection of the cautious owner, who invests it under the advice of men who are wise in its handling. Gold indeed clingeth to a cautious owner, even as it flees the careless owner. The man who seeks the advice of men wise in handling gold soon learns not to jeopardize his treasure, but to preserve in safety and to enjoy in contentment its consistent increase. Remember, this book was written in 1926, and it is telling a parable or a tale from thousands of years ago in ancient Babylon. It's actually really well written, and the way he does it just helps you learn. It's great. It's awesome. What it's saying here is that you need to be around wise men and get advice from wise men who have handled gold and increased money before. So it's essentially saying there's a couple stories, and it kind of blends in a little bit with the fourth law. I think what he's talking about too in the third law is, let's be around wise people who have done it before, increased their money before. And that word cautious, I would just kind of say, based in the context of the story, you're diligent, you are doing your research, and you're not given into necessarily like these wild hares that kind of are like the lottery. This might work, it might not. I think that's okay for a part of your investment strategy, but it's not your main investment strategy. Once you've got we teach passive income pillars. Once you have those set up, money coming in, now you can do some of these riskier things. But as we are building it out, let's be strategic with our finances. Let's talk to people, get instruction and advice from people who have multiplied money before, and let's see what works. Fourth law. Gold slippeth away from the man who invests it in a business or purposes with which he is not familiar, or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep. The man who has gold, yet is not skilled in its handling, many uses for it appear most profitable. So like you'll see opportunities once you have the money ready to invest, you're going to start seeing opportunities everywhere. Too often, These are full of danger of loss, and if properly analyzed by wise men, will show small possibility of profit. Therefore, the inexperienced owner of gold who trusts to his own judgment and invests it in businesses or purposes with which you are not familiar, too often finds judgment imperfect and pays with his treasure for his inexperience. Wise indeed is he who invests his treasure under the advice of men who are skilled in the ways of gold. So again, it kind of plays a little bit in, I think, with that third law. But if you are investing in something you don't know about, you either need to be partnered with somebody who does know about it. Okay? I remember there was a time back in the day where a buddy and I started it was like a coffee truck, like an ice cream truck, but for coffee. Now, we've seen this model is actually very popular in other countries. They're crushing it. There's franchises making millions and millions of dollars. I mean, it's an awesome thing. Well, we kind of launched our own thing here, and neither of us know the coffee industry. We know business, so we could apply some principles there, and it did okay, I guess, but it didn't thrive. And we talked later about it, and we were like, man, we probably shouldn't have gone into an industry we didn't know anything about without partnering with somebody who was an expert in that business or that purpose or that effort or that industry. It's common sense, right? But that ain't always so common. And the fifth law of gold. Gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who followeth the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts it to his own inexperience and romantic desires in investment. Fanciful propositions that thrill like adventure tales always come to the new owner of gold. These appear to endow his treasure with magic powers that will enable it to make impossible earnings. Yet, heed ye the wise men, for verily they know the risks that lurk behind every plan to make great wealth suddenly. All right, so that one kind of explains itself. There are going to be opportunities that sound amazing and crazy and give you that adventurous, like, oh man, almost like a lottery kind of deal. Basically saying, like, you don't need to trust your money to that. If you do those types of things, there's a good chance your money's going to flee. Now, again, personally, my opinion, I do like doing some of those, but only after we've got the pillars in place. So it's like if I was going to invest in some of those things, it would be more like fun money. Hey, this could be cool. This could pay off. I know it's a huge risk, but I'm willing to risk this amount of money. Doesn't work out, doesn't work out. So I personally think that's fine, and I kind of like to keep that a part of my investment adventures. I like to keep things spicy, but it's not a part of my main play. If I only had this much money, I would not do that. I would put it in the more strategic, more secure type of investment. So those are the 5 laws of gold. I'm going to make this one short. We'll hop over to the next chapter here in another video. But I want to keep that short because I want you to be thinking through how you can apply those laws in your life. See, I think one of the best things about this book when it comes to investing, most people get hung up on things they don't need to get hung up on. Yeah, but Trav, just tell me which stock to invest in. Yeah, Trav, but just tell me which crypto project to invest in. What type of real estate should I invest in? Just tell me. And we have this misconception that it's some kind of magic formula. Just tell me. Just tell me what to do. Just tell me what to invest in. Well, that's not how it works. I mean, each person has their own levels of risk, their own strategies, and their own goals. So what I'm investing in may not be the best fit for you. And of course, I would implore you, you need to get understanding. That's what he's talking about here. Just understand how these investments work. Understand this stuff. You don't have to go back to school. You don't have to get a college degree. It's not complicated. It's super simple. You can learn about what you need to learn in this book and be successful as an investor. Because what it's really encouraging you to do is simply just to put your money to work for you. And that can come in 1,001 different ways. When you read this book, It allows you to see opportunity you didn't see before. That's the power of reading. That's the power of getting new information, is now your eyes are open to opportunities that you didn't see before. Hey, if I did this and I invested here, there's a story where it talks about how there is a king, and they were building the walls around, a new wall around the city. Well, at some point they're going to have to put in 2 giant bronze doors. Well, those bronze doors, the city they were in, there's not enough bronze in that city to even build these magnificent giant doors. So somebody on the inside knew about the dimensions of the doors, and he knew at some point the king was going to say the command to his workers, go and get the bronze doors. Well, they're going to have to go to another city, buy the bronze, and travel, bring it back, and it'd be this whole thing. So one of the guys in the book, he goes to the main character and he says, hey, why don't we do this? Since we know that that's coming within the next month or so, the king is going to send out the order to get the bronze to build these doors. Our city doesn't have it. Why don't we go to the nearest city? Let's pool our money together. They got, 10 guys, pooled their money together, made a little investment club. We will go buy the bronze and we will bring it back here. When the king says, gives the command to go and build the doors, we will be right there ready to sell them the bronze. And we can raise the price because the king will pay whatever to get it done quickly. Then he said, and if that doesn't work for whatever reason, they decide to not buy our bronze, we will still have bronze in our city and we can sell it to the people here. So it's kind of a win-win situation. Like even if basically the worst case scenario is we'll just sell it to the people of the city. Since bronze is so scarce in our city, it's a great commodity to have on hand anyway. So they went in, they invested in that, it paid off beautifully, it worked well. And then they got that, basically had an investment club, and they went and did other ventures like that together. It was great, and they all built a lot of wealth. In fact, he said the venture with the bronze doors went better than they ever thought. So my point is, thinking through stuff like that, man, that's pretty interesting. Is there something like that at your work you could do? I've had opportunities that have come to me where I've invested in different, some of my friends' businesses. They lend money and they get a percentage point, and I get some of that too now when I lend them money. We've got the Passive Income Engines group where we do some of this stuff, but through crypto and through some other types of investment strategies I didn't even know existed till about 9 months ago. Yet it's been able to build us some amazing passive income that we're very thankful for. I do have links in the description below if you want to learn more about that. But my point is, there's opportunities all around us, and we now can be aware of them. We're now more aware of them because we have information like this. So let's look. How can we put our money to work for us? It's just a different way to think about how we get our income. Put your money to work, and then the way it words it in the book, it's not my words, but it talks about having gold and copper and bronze, etc. That's what they spend. So you put your gold to work for you. They call it your gold slaves. Those slaves produce copper children, right? Those are your dividends. And then we put those to work for us as well, and we live off what those produce. If we can start to change how we look at money and income, this isn't something you have to do when you're old and gray. This isn't something you have to do after retirement or after you've sold your business. You can start this now. My 8-year-old has started doing this. She's already doubled her money in a couple things. It's awesome. I hope this has helped you. I hope I've encouraged you. I want you to win financially. I want you to learn how to build these passive income pillars so that you're freed up to work on the big things God has for you. I've got links in the description, like I said, if you want to learn more about our Passive Income Engines program that can help you begin to implement some of this stuff that we've been talking about here. Check those out if you're interested. I love you guys. Stay tuned. I got more coming. I'll see you in the next one.